Welcome back, everybody, to the Words from the Nerds podcast. We are starting the Agatha All Along series. We got the first couple of episodes, so we are here to discuss both of them. We also very soon are going to be starting the Penguin series, which the first episode just came out on Max. Before we get into the episode, couple of little housekeeping items. If it looks a little different, it's because we are recording
Looks
this
better.
on Discord. Yeah, maybe it looks better. Um,
Let us
because
know in
last
the
episode trying,
comments if it looks better.
yeah, a little bit more bland in the background, but last time, if you saw, I didn't have a camera. I'm having some issues for some reason on StreamYard, but we were able to get it working on Discord, so we're recording here. Also, if you are watching us on YouTube, thank you for tuning in. Make sure hit that like button and subscribe if you are new here. We've got a lot of great content rolling out. We've been consistent for like 9 or 10 weeks now. We've been running very strong every single Thursday. Pretty soon we're going to be doubling up, just covering a couple of shows at once. And if you're listening on Spotify or any other audio platform, give us a 5-star rating. You also have the ability to send us a text message directly, which we will read on the next episode. If you want to leave us a comment, a critique of any kind, whatever it may be, you can send us a text directly. And of course, the final thing, as always, I'm joined by my two lovely pals, two lovely co-hosts, Charlie and Aiden. We'll start with Aiden. How are you doing today, sir?
I just gotta say, Ben, do you ever when you just slip back into that welcome back guys, sub to the YouTube, does it ever just make you feel something in your heart? A nostalgic piece missing?
You know, as a former TikToker and a YouTuber who hasn't posted since like January, it feels nice. I do gotta say, it does feel nice.
Yeah. I feel like that sometimes too. Even whenever we first got back into it, I was like, welcome back to the Words from Nerds podcast. Oh, it just hits a spot right in your heart. It just hits a sweet spot right there. I'm doing great. Just got off of a 2.5-hour live stream. Some really good One Piece news.
Alex Geeked Week.
Geeked Week. Not only just One Piece news, a lot of Netflix news. And so it was fun. It was fun, but my vocal cords are a little strained because I was up and yelling about 50% of that last 10 minutes. So I'm a little drained, but I'm excited to talk about Agatha All Along. I'm excited to get into this discussion, pick y'all's brains. I'm also excited to get into Penguin whenever we get around to it. The closer we've gotten to this show, the more and more hyped I've started to get. I'm really excited for it now for some reason. I'm starting to buy in a lot more than I was a couple months ago. And that could be because we're back on the pod. It could just be that. But nonetheless, I'm excited to discuss this show, these future shows that we're covering. First show we've covered since Secret Invasion. First TV show we've quote-unquote weekly covered since Secret Invasion.
Covered, yeah.
A full weekly show that we did cover. I think the last one was Miss Marvel? She-Hulk. No.
The Last of Us.
No, was it The Last of Us?
Because that was in 2023.
Wow. Well, I think you're right. Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah, because we did, and then we did one episode of Secret Invasion after that.
Yeah. Well,
because
we don't need to explain ourselves. The last full TV show weekly that we've watched since The Last of Us, so I'm excited to get back into it.
Yeah, especially this is probably a big one for you guys because you guys tend not to stick to the shows you watch lately. Both of you gentlemen, both of them. Ben never finished Echo. Aiden hasn't watched any new TV show, and that's released probably all year long because he's been on the One Piece grind, which I got respect for. But to talk a little bit about me, because I love to talk about me. This is a fantastic night, we, like Aiden mentioned and Ben, we got 2 TV shows that we're going to start covering a lot more, and I'm excited to do that. I'm excited to have a weekly TV show to care about again, because it's always a bummer when they end up ending, if they're good. Sometimes it's a little bit of a slog to get to the end, but I don't think The Last of Us being our last show that we covered, I didn't think that that was that. And so it's nice to be back on the pod discussing another. I almost slipped up right there with my thoughts of the show. Let's just I'll stop yapping, but I'm excited for the Penguin as well. I need to rewatch the Batman before I dive into that show. I am a little bit worried about certain aspects. Like I've heard that Batman isn't even mentioned by name, like the Bat or like Bruce Wayne or something, like not even name drop. I don't know if that's true, but it's just like it seems so disconnected. Not that everything has to be disconnected, but it's just like this is a show about a villain for Batman, and like there's no even small sign of Batman anywhere in it. So I don't know, but I'll withhold judgment until I watch the show later at some point.
Awesome.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Charlie, it sounds like you were kind of itching to get into your thoughts on the show. Why don't you start off?
Well, I just wanted to say I almost spoiled it because I was gonna say, like, with another decent show so far to me, I think Agatha All Along we're talking about, just to clarify, is I thought it was pretty okay. First episode didn't do too much for me. There was one really cool scene in which, and I'm not gonna go right into that because new show spoilers, obviously. Even though when are we dropping this? Actually, is this coming out this week or next week?
It would be a week from today.
A week from today. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So this will be the
then
Thursday
maybe
episode.
maybe we could play fast and loose with the spoilers then. But the scene I'm referring to is when she is breaking out of the spell that Wanda put her under. Thought that was a pretty well done scene. I love how she hits the light and they let the light keep swinging and it really lights up the room in a very creative way and how it's rocking back and forth. I liked that a lot. I also liked the TV show intro at the beginning of it. Nice little callback to WandaVision a little bit and kept me engaged. I didn't love how they were playing with like, oh, is this Wanda? Is this dead body Wanda or what? Like, dude, like, come on, man. If you're gonna do it, then do it. Let's get it over. Let's show the black hands and everything like that. And I get maybe they couldn't get Elizabeth Olsen for this to like show her pretending to be dead on the ground or whatever, but oh, she was crushed. All right, bro. Come on. Calm down. And it's also a little bit of the same thing with, I think his character is called Teen. It's also a little bit of the same thing with him. Like, I'm like, all right, dude. Like, I don't care about this mystery because like it's not really a mystery. I don't know. So, but that's neither here nor there. The first episode I thought was okay, and I was surprised about Aubrey Plaza being in it so early. I thought she wasn't going to show up till later in the show for some reason. I didn't think she would be right in episode 1. My issues came with like I was fine with it right up until she gets her out of the spell, and then she ambushes her at her house, and then tries to stab a knife through her chest, right? And then they talk about how you can't kill me. You're right, I can't kill you. Why'd you just try to stab her in the chest then? What? Oh my gosh. And then also, why did she need to, maybe you guys can provide some insight. This is a genuine question. Why did she need to break Agatha out of her little mind spell before trying to ambush her and kill her or send the Salem 7 to come kill her? Why did that need to happen? Like, why couldn't you just do it while she was still in the Westview spell?
There's I don't have a direct answer for it. All I was going to say was there was a lot of things in that conversation that it seemed more like a planting seeds first episode conversation than an actual threat in that moment to her conversation, if that makes sense. Because there were a lot of things that it was kind of like, oh, I'm going to do this to you, but I can't because you'll see soon. Like, kind of exposition. And so I don't, unless I am completely missing an answer for that question, I feel like that plus some other things she said just won't be answered for a while. That's how I took it.
Sure.
Yeah, I think I don't have an explanation for it, but kind of like Aiden said, that like there's something about her character. She was trying to push Agatha to go on this journey, and it's like she's trying to push her that way for some sort of later motive that we don't yet know about.
Oh, so you think she's playing Agatha rather than
I think so.
Agatha playing her by saying like, just leave, let me live for a second, and then taking the road. Okay,
Well,
that's an interesting
there-
thing. I didn't
It also seemed
even
like
consider that.
it also seemed like there was some tension there between them two. I was picking up.
Oh, yeah,
It seemed
there's,
like there was
like,
a lot of
relationship,
sexual
yeah.
tension. Yeah. So I thought that was pretty
Yeah, for
interesting
sure.
too. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm intrigued where that's going to go too, because I'm sure they're going to touch on like the black heart thing, is because I think she verbatim said that like my black heart beats for you, or it used to beat for you, or something like that.
Yeah.
I don't know. I also wanted to call out, I love the sick burn the teen character had on her in the interrogation room. He was like, I was looking for respect from my peers and a family who loves me, or something like that, but you were fresh out. I was like,
Dude,
damn, boy.
He was stealing almost every scene he was in. Like he had me dying. There was a moment in that, I think the second episode, where he was like, okay, name a badder bitch in South America or Europe. I was just like, his line delivery was so good. He was killing a lot of the scenes he was in.
Yeah, he's pretty good. I know he's been getting a lot of heat online for some of the stuff he's been saying in like interviews and the build up to the show.
Oh, really?
Because like, yeah, he said something like, the MCU fans, like they can nag all they want, but like at the end of the day, I'm in the position that they want to be in so bad. Like I'm acting in a show and that kind of thing. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. Which, like, I mean, respect. Like, I mean, I'll give it to you. Like, yeah, you're in the MCU, dog. Good for you. But I don't know. I don't want to dive into it too. There was also something that I can't speak to how true this is, but I saw on Twitter that in an interview, he said that he wants his character to cross over with Kamala Khan. And he's like, because as you know, she was in the New Avengers or the Young Avengers. He said one of the two. And then somebody quote tweeted it and said, she wasn't in the New Avengers or the Young Avengers in the comics. And so it's like, all right, dog. You don't got to pretend to know these characters, bro. But yeah, do you want me to talk about, should we actually, I want to know, should I dive into my episode 2 thoughts as well, or should we go all of us episode 1 and then all of us episode 2?
Ben?
I mean, we could just do episode by episode. I feel like they're like different enough in what they do, I think, like story wise, that we could just do one at a time.
Okay.
For sure. And yeah.
I'll take it away. I agree with Charlie. It was I've learned to temper my expectations for the rest of the show based off the first episode, but I will say it still is a very good first episode, and I, for one, absolutely loved the CSI like crime drama that they opened up the show with. I was really hoping that they were gonna like genre bend the first 3 episodes to like kind of still tell the story, but tell it in like a CSI way, like a rom-com or like a sitcom, or like, just what WandaVision did. And so opening on that I thought was really cool. I think it was like Agnes in Westview or something like that was like the name of the TV show that she was like, that Wanda put her in. I thought it was really cool. I thought it was like this cop being corrupted by this mysterious case and this dark hole that keeps following her. I thought was really, really cool, and such a creative and fascinating way to bring the show in. I thought the writing was also really good in the first episode, again with a lot of, I almost dropped his name and I kind of want to, because I don't feel like it's a huge spoiler, and so I'm going to.
Okay, that's all you.
I love a lot of dialogue coming from... Shit! Now I can't bring myself to do it. Coming from the teenager,
Okay.
The boy. I loved a lot of his dialogue. It automatically felt like kind of a different direction, a different overall tone and feel of an MCU Disney Plus show, which again, I know Secret Invasion started off that way as well and ended up being what it is. It just dove right back into the MCU of it all. And so I like it, but I'm not jumping to conclusions on it. It just felt fresh and it felt nice. It felt a lot better than I expected it to feel. And so I liked the first episode quite a bit. I think I might have even liked it more than the second episode. I had a good time with it. Thought it set up everything so well, and it's nice. You're in and you're out. You don't have to take too long. 35 minutes. It was a really good episode. So I liked it. I liked what we were setting up. Aubrey Plaza looked badass, dude. When she stepped out into that house, she looked awesome. So I had a good time with it. I don't think I have too many complaints other than obviously what we've already talked about with what Charlie pointed out. A lot of... Actually, I don't even think a lot of my complaints come with the second. I'll just have to go off y'all because right now they're not coming to mind. But overall, very decent first episode.
Oh, man. Maybe I'm nitpicky, but I don't think I like this as much as you guys. And it's not that I didn't hate it, I didn't dislike it, but it especially the first episode didn't really do much for me. It started off on the whole shtick of like this mysterious, what's real, what's not, the spell that Agnes at the time is under, and like I think that worked well in WandaVision because that was the first time we experienced it. Episodes like 3 to 5 of WandaVision I really enjoyed when we were kind of breaking the reality and figuring out what was happening, and our characters were starting to figure that out. I really liked that piece of WandaVision. So when it started off, I was just like, okay, we're getting this with Agatha. But the problem with it is that since we've already had WandaVision, and like we know from the trailers and just in general, we know what this show is going to be. Because in a way, through WandaVision, we already had this character go through the same like spell thing and then, breaking out of it or whatever. And so it didn't really do much for me because it was kind of like, okay, when are we going to get to like what's actually happening? And so that like it didn't draw me in, and what could have been like more interesting things just didn't feel that interesting in that context. Some other random thoughts. I'll disagree with Aiden a little bit on the writing. Some of the writing. I wrote down a line because I thought it was so bad, but it's during the fight towards the end of the movie.
Go.
What is it?
I thought you were going to say the coochie coochie coo line.
No.
Because I was
No, it wasn't that. It was the line. It was specifically how it was delivered. I don't know if it was like the ADR or something. But it's when she says, maybe I can't kill you, but I can make you wish you were dead or something like that. It's just like, however they recorded it and added it into the scene made it sound like so cheesy. It was like notable enough that I wrote it down because it just sounded weird. And then the other big thing that I'll talk about is Teen's character. My issue is that like we all know who it is, right? And the problem with that is that to me, other than his personality, his actual character is entirely wrapped around him being some mysterious, having involvement in this story somehow, and we don't know what that looks like yet. And so they're playing into that, and that even is played into in the second episode as well, even more so. But the problem with it is that, again, that just doesn't do anything for me because we know who he is, and so instead of like actually bringing more to the table with that, his character right now is mostly a mystery, and it's supposed to be, but I don't think that works. So other than I think there's funny moments, and like I like his personality, he's a fun addition. I don't really like his character's inclusion right now. I think that can change as we progress because like once they reveal it, then they can actually do something with it. But right now, he's just kind of a nothing character who's just kind of there for comedic relief, in my opinion. Yeah, I think that's like my couple of main critiques with the first episode. It kind of just felt like, with the characters and with the story, we know that there's something else coming. We know that we're not going to be stuck in this spell fake reality. We know who Teen's character is. And so we're not getting to anything that could actually be interesting. So that's where for me, I just wasn't the biggest fan. Not that I hated it. I still think it's enjoyable, but it's just lacking substance. Even though I think that like they could implement more of those things as the show goes on, it just didn't bring me in the first episode.
I guess I can agree with that. Just because, like, other than him being such a mystery, we just know that he really wants to walk the witch's road, very badly, because he wants to become a full powerful witch. I assume he has some sort of power at the moment. Can we call him a witch? I don't know. That's doesn't matter, semantics. But that was kind of his driving factor, and still is his driving factor. And I also don't remember if it was him who made Agatha want to walk the road, or if that was already her plan. I don't know if you guys remember. Obviously, I watched it last night. I should know this, but whatever.
I watched it today.
I watched it today, and I am too. I watched it like a couple hours ago. I'm not gonna lie.
Well, because Agatha she was like about to
leave
go,
him.
Yeah, she was about to, and he was the one who acted, because she was gonna leave him the house.
Yeah. Well, I mean, stop me if you're gonna get to this, Charlie. But it is because I'm jumping to episode 2, and so stop me if I'm. I
was pretty much gonna go there too,
because she never really.
Oh, my cat is like, he's literally just like, he's like, nah, you want this closed for them? No, you don't get to have it closed. What is this dude doing? Oh my god,
it's his house, bro.
Go ahead,
let him. It's his house.
It's so stupid, bro.
I'm right in and I'm trying to tread carefully, because again, I just watched it, and I'm like, I don't even know. I'm right in assuming she never wanted to walk the road, right? She just wanted to get them there for their powers.
Well, yes. Okay. Actually, that's a good. Thank you for bringing that up, because I think that was her plan originally. Yes. She was just gonna go find these other witches, and then was gonna piss them off and blast them and take their power. So that's why I wanted to bring that up. I think I want to credit him to even having the witch's road idea, and then granted she used that as like a guise to get them there, but I would say that he's kind of like the crux of the story right now, the inciting person, I guess, without saying an event or anything. But I will agree, it's hard to do much with him because of how much they're shrouding this mystery, it isn't a mystery to us, around him. And so compare him to like the other witches, which I think have more depth so far. The first witch that they meet, she is an older witch, and she's kind of crazy, losing her mind a little bit, has random bouts of just, I don't know, whatever you call it, PTSD, whatever. Then the second witch they go to, her main crux is like she's been locked out of her powers, and she's bound, and she wants to get her powers back. And then the third one wants to find out what happened to her mom. And obviously, those are very baseline tellings of their sort of role in this story. But even then, those baseline tellings, those very short descriptions, are more intriguing than anything that Teen has to offer right now. And I agree with where Ben's coming from, truthfully. And the thing is, to kind of hound on Teen a little bit more, it's like, I don't know like what the idea behind this entire secret, because like for those of us that know, not that we specifically need to be serviced, but I do think to a certain degree we kind of do. And I don't know that how, so far anyway, that they have serviced those of us who know who he is. Like it's all just entirely like we heard the first couple of like Ben was alluding to a little bit, how they doubled down on in episode 2 of him talking about his past. We heard, I think I watched it with subtitles on, so I saw him say that he was born and raised in Eastview, and so that still does nothing for me, and how I know who this character is, and any more depth to like a nod, like, hey, we know you're gonna get service here eventually if you just hold on. You know, there's I guess just the mystery of it is supposed to be what's keeping me clinged into that, but really it's like it's not. What I am more engaged with right now, I would say, is just the actual journey itself, because I gotta say I'm bouncing back off of Aiden. He said he liked episode 1. I liked episode 2 much more, I think. Episode 2 setting up the actual journey that they're going on. I liked the scene of finding all the witches. I actually thought that was a pretty funny, like, they could have played it like a montage, but they didn't, and they took time with each one, and I actually appreciated that. Granted, it could get a little bit samey, the sort of relationship that Agatha and Teen have. Like, I can't lie, I probably get kind of tired of just them two on their own already. Just watching her like run out of the store, and then just using it. Yeah, it's kind of a tired thing already at this point for me. But watching all the witches come together, and then I even like obviously I know nothing was going to come of it, but the scene of them actually summoning the road. It was just turned into a musical there for a second. Like I somewhat enjoyed it, because like watching Teen up there get surrounded by the Salem 7, and they're all barging in, and they even tried to play one of the Salem 7 as like a horror sequence. Like it felt very like Sam Raimi almost, with the way they crawled down the stairs like that. I was I liked that little touch, but overall, it got me much more interested and intrigued as to where the show is going. And episode 1, I can't remember exactly where it ended. I think it was after Aubrey Plaza's character left or something. Mm-hmm. But that ending, I'm glad that I think they knew that they needed to do this, launching with 2 episodes, because like with that ending to that episode, and with it mostly focusing on the crime show drama thing, I'm not like week 2, I'll be like, all right, dude, like I guess I'll watch it. But like week 3, I'm like, I want to watch this. I want to, not like I'm forcing myself to, I guess. And so yeah, that's what I'll credit the show with. And I know I'm yapping a little bit here, but I just want to say, like, I've seen so many people already like riding this show so far, bro. Some of it might be jokes, but like some of it is definitely not, especially on Twitter. Some of it is definitely not. They are riding this show, calling it amazing so far. There's nothing amazing going on right now, all right? It's intriguing. I'll give you that. But there's nothing amazing right now.
Yeah.
Except for Catherine's ass.
He sat back for a little bit and then said, fuck it.
I knew someone was going to bring it up.
You're right. There isn't anything amazing, but it is intriguing. It is something that I want to keep tuning in to every week, even if we weren't sitting here recording. If we weren't sitting here recording, I probably wouldn't have even watched it. But if in a universe where we weren't recording and I was watching it,
honest,
and that's because I haven't watched anything all year. So don't take that as me trashing Agatha. I just haven't watched anything.
Don't come at me.
But no, yeah, I still think the second episode was very good. I mean, it's neck and neck with number 1. I just enjoyed the creativeness. Bro, sometimes I get on here
creativity,
and my brain just like mushes. The creativity in the first episode I could appreciate a lot more, and I had a lot more fun with he's going to go close his door. I had a lot more fun with what they were doing and how they were setting up the build into episode 2 and beyond. But I still think the second episode was really good too. Like I said, I think the show so far is doing a good job. It's doing its job. However, I am still trying to wrap my head around why this is. That cat just wants to be in here with you, man.
Oh my gosh, bro.
I am still trying to wrap my head around why this was prioritized over others, over other projects, because
Good question, I think.
we still haven't heard anything from Armor Wars. I mean, we've gotten.
I actually have a take. Not to interrupt you, I'm not going to go with my take right
Yeah.
now, but I just want to say I do think I have a take on that.
Okay,
I'll get to it later, though.
But yeah, I'm still just trying to wrap my head around why some of these other shows like Wonder Man, I guess, just doesn't exist anymore, even though they were like filming, like as.
I think I think Wonder Man's still coming.
Really?
It's done. I think they're done filming.
Yeah,
That would suck if it's not coming. Somebody died filming that, bro.
I mean, like, yeah. I don't know. Just the state of the MCU and the projects and some of the stuff that they're deciding to ride with and prioritize. I'm interested as to why this made the cut. And there has to be a reason why. There has to be something of substance that we will take away from this show when it's all said and done, rather than it just being a Miss Marvel or so far a She-Hulk, where it's just like, yeah, it happened. Now let's get this next character movie in where this one actually matters to the story, you know? And so I'm hoping that's not the case. I know we've talked about that before. I'm hoping that's not the case, and I'm interested in seeing why it isn't the case. And so that's enough to keep me hooked. That's enough to keep me invested in these first 2 episodes. And there is a lot of good in it so far. There is a lot of good in it so far. And I just have to go in assuming there's going to be some cringy dialogue. There's going to be some stuff that's just like, okay, can we get through this, or can we speed this up? And I'm willing to bypass it if we do end up getting those things, especially because my expectations are already low for an MCU Disney Plus show. So, yeah, I like the second episode. I will say I do like, while I agree with both of y'all's takes, Ben's especially of just this character being restricted because of this secret that they're keeping. I do love how creative they're getting with him, his mouth like blurring anytime he said his name, and the radio, like him being tuned out when he's explaining his backstory, whereas all the other sounds are working perfectly fine. She even turns the radio up, and she's like, why do I just like not know? I really am interested in seeing the payoff to it. While I am upset that he is being restricted, I'm interested in seeing the payoff to it. So even though there are some things that I'm just like, all right, like this, I'm not the biggest fan of it. They still do a good job at keeping me on my toes and keeping me glued to the screen. So that's it. That's all I can ask for right now. Like, if you can do that, cool. Just keep it up week to week. Give me a strong finish. We're good. Like, that's the point I'm at right now.
I think something that Charlie said earlier really made a lot of sense to me, which is like, even once they get to like officially revealing who Teen is in the show, the problem is that like what they've given us so far, even after they reveal it, they haven't done enough where once you know it, it then becomes any more interesting. Like, us knowing it, the first 2 episodes don't have anything that like are anything cool that they're setting up or interesting that they're doing, so that once they reveal the character, then we appreciate what they're doing and just like, you know, any of the tie-ins that they decide to do or how they decide to actually approach his character once it's, you know, for sure revealed. I just feel like there's nothing there where once it's revealed, I'm going to be like, oh my gosh, looking back, that makes all of these things make more sense or be a lot cooler. I don't think we're going to reflect back and think that way. And so it's like, regardless of you know, where they take it, it already feels like a misstep in my opinion with the first couple of episodes. But I guess I'll give my general thoughts on the second episode just because you guys have kind of already touched on a lot of it. I feel like I like a lot of things about the second episode. I think I liked it a bit more than the first one just because there's actually we have like a goal. We know some of the motivation of Agatha specifically, and then I did like it was still like montage-esque, but going around and recruiting the different witches and whatnot, getting introduced to their characters, and I think just like as a whole, like the group dynamic is going to be fun to see throughout the show. I just think we're going to enjoy it, and like Charlie said, it probably would have gotten tiresome if it was just Agatha and Teen the whole time. So I'm glad that we have kind of new characters to play with. You can split the group up and just have just more dynamics and whatnot that you can set up through that. So I'm looking forward to that. I think a couple of those horror elements, like the break into the house and whatnot, and like the scariness, a couple of those shots specifically, I was going to say scenes, but it was more so like specific shots. You're like, okay, that's kind of cool, what they're doing, like the Sam Raimi style, if you want to call it that. And then by the end, it did feel like, okay, like we have a goal, we have somewhere that we're going. Part of me still feels like, I don't know, it took 2 episodes to get to what feels like the starting point. And I understand that episode 2 did a lot of work in like setting up the characters and whatnot, but it really feels like now is where we're getting into what the show is actually about. And so the fact that it took 2 episodes to do that, I'll really have to see how they actually end up utilizing that. And especially what I'll say is I think episode 2 makes episode 1 look even worse, because episode 2, like very much from start to finish, at least all of it ties into the story. Like we're recruiting the characters, we're setting up some of the storylines, and then ultimately that culminates together into the, the finale, the ending, as we're about to jump into the story. But it makes me reflect back on episode 1 and think about how pointless most of it feels. Like most of it does not feel necessary to get to the point we were at. Because you can say like, okay, Agatha was under the spell, we had to deal with those things, and breaking of reality, introducing a couple of characters, but like I don't feel like all of those things were necessary to get to the point like at the start of episode 2. Like episode 2 could have been the first episode and there would be very little necessary context missing for you to understand what was going on and continue the show just fine. And so I did like it more than episode 1, but it kind of just like reinforced some of my feelings of not loving episode 1 because there just wasn't a lot to grab onto.
Gotta hit that episode count.
Fair enough. Yeah, 9. We're back to 9. To touch on what Aiden asked earlier about, which I think is a good question, about why this show was shown more priority over other projects, especially right now. My going theory is, especially with how much of a presence, you could argue that the presence that Wanda's body had in the first episode was just incremental to that one episode. But I think that this journey is going to end with Wanda being resurrected in some way. I don't know that we'll see Elizabeth Olsen, but like we'll probably see some sort of, they're going to make it clear to us that that is what is happening. And I think Agatha's going to hate to do it because clearly they're showing how much disdain she has. I think they're taking a lot of time away from, in certain scenarios, to show us how much she despises Wanda. She spits on the house where she started everything. They point out how she was, which I think this is a weird line, how she was betrayed by a witch. How was she betrayed? Like, I mean, you were screwing with Wanda, which granted, Wanda wasn't doing a great thing. She was holding a whole town captive. I understand that. But you were still trying to screw with Wanda as well. It's not like it's a one-sided thing. But anyway, just with the inclusion of Teen, and we all know who Teen is, and then couple that with like how much they're playing with this Wanda stuff, to me, like I think that because they've clung to this idea after Multiverse of Madness, like yeah, she's pretty dead. She's pretty dead, and yada yada yada. Whoever gets asked about it, Wanda's dead. And so I think they are sticking with that she is dead and that she actually did die there. But now she's going to be brought back. She's going to have to be. Agatha, for some reason, at the end of the road, which is road, Agatha's going to have to, like, I don't know. This is obviously is not actually what would happen, but let's just say, like, oh, you have to help somebody who wronged you and make up with them or something like that. So then Wanda can still be included in the MCU to some capacity, because I don't think they're done with her character. I don't think that they've done quite enough with her character. And so part of also what makes me think that is, I think this is correct me if I'm wrong, I'm pretty sure this is the first, you guys actually wouldn't know because you don't watch the shows, but I think this is the first Marvel show that has changed to the, like, official Marvel Television logo at the beginning. Now, I don't think. Yeah, no, because they all just had the Marvel Studios thing, the intro. The only other one would be X-Men '97.
And did it not have? Did it? Was
maybe
it
that's what
Marvel
it is.
Animation?
Maybe it did. That's why I don't know. I don't remember if it was. Oh yeah, that one was Marvel Animation. Yes,
But
exactly.
I could have sworn I seen Marvel Television somewhere.
I thought so too.
Yeah,
I
like
don't think so, man.
I could have sworn.
Because the show before this was Echo, I guess. And Echo is definitely going to play into, like, because they have this scene. Actually, you guys didn't finish it, but there's a scene at the end of Echo. There's a scene at the end of Echo where Kingpin is saying, like, I'm gonna become mayor. Essentially, I'm gonna run for mayor in New York City, and so that is going to play into Daredevil. Granted, it's just playing into other shows. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna check right now if
I have it pulled up.
Oh, you do? Does it have the Marvel Television logo on Echo?
I am waiting. It does not.
Or does it just say it does not? It just says Marvel Studios? Oh yeah, it just says Marvel Studios. Granted, this is like I'm talking about logos. In the grand scheme of things, it really doesn't effing matter, right? But I just think with this specific rebranding of now it's Marvel Television, it's a much shorter logo. They're differentiating them a lot more, right? But there's still the idea that they're all connected with the exception of animation. And so what better way to, now that you have specifically distinguished them, what better way to re-legitimize it in a way than make it connect to, have the movie connect to it, because WandaVision, I think the biggest connection we had before this was WandaVision and Multiverse of Madness, but that even wasn't that big of a connection. Because I think you can still make Multiverse of Madness without WandaVision. Just say Wanda found the Darkhold, went crazy, yada, yada, yada. Now we're doing this. Multiverse of Madness, Wanda dies. Wanda's dead in Agatha. And now Agatha can break out of the spell. Then Agatha's going to have to bring Wanda back. And Wanda's going to be changed for the better or whatever, but there's still going to be a lot of trials and tribulations she's going to have to go through, because I don't think you can just bring Wanda back after she enslaved a whole town, killed a bunch of people across the multiverse, and et cetera, et cetera. She can't be on the Avengers right off the rip again. There's going to be a lot of stuff she's going to have to go through. But
when are we going to have time to go through those things? The next Avengers movie is
after Secret Wars, man.
All right.
After Secret
Wars. She might even play a role in the soft reboot that comes after Secret Wars, maybe. Maybe that's why they're bringing her back. Because she can warp reality, I don't know. Yeah. But I don't think, there's no way Wanda stays dead for the rest of this Phase 5 into Phase 6. There's no way.
Well, okay. Go ahead, Aiden.
This is awkward. No, I was just gonna say I agree with Charlie that I could see something at the end of the show being like even just having Agatha reading something or coming to a realization and just ending the show with the Scarlet Witch lives, something like that. You don't have to get Elizabeth Olsen back. It's a pretty big moment, and the show off like that. But I like that theory. I do like that theory. It might also be something to do with teen. and his character could be that important. I'm sure you can get on to like what I'm talking about, where he goes after this. Could be.
I also want to say,
that.
sorry to interrupt you. I know this is the second time I interrupt you. Yeah, shut up. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
No, you know what I'm pulling out.
I'm also, I want to say, in an interview, Aubrey Plaza said when it comes to her character that everybody's going to freak out when we find out who she is. Now, granted, this is something we've heard before from the actors. We've heard this kind of sentiment multiple different times. Moon Knight's going to be so violent. But it was backed up by, what's his name? The scooper, Daniel RPK. Mm-hmm. It was backed up by Daniel RPK. And he said, he quote tweeted it. He said, she's right. Like, we're going to freak out. So, something to think about. Something to think about as well.
There's a lot of cool things that they can do and play around with. So, yeah, that's all I had to say. I just wanted to throw in the Scarlet Witch lives or something like that. I think that'd be cool. But please, Ben, take the floor.
All I was gonna say about this whole purpose of it and the grander scheme of the MCU is, while I agree that it could have a tie-in to Wanda, I still understand Aiden's point of like, why now? Because it does feel like at this point, especially as they've slimmed down their projects that are coming out, that like they are trying to be more intentional with what comes out. And so, sure, Wanda's story might not be done, but does that mean that we need Agatha All Along to come out at this moment in time? And not more like with WandaVision, where it was like in close proximity with Doctor Strange. Like I would agree with your reasoning, Charlie, if we had a clear like next thing that made sense, for Wanda to be in, or like know where the story is going. And maybe that's like a dumb thing to say. And like when we get to the end of the show, then we'll have an idea of what might come in Secret Wars, I guess, at this point. So yeah, I think it's. I hope that it has more of a purpose and a connection with what's coming next. And if it really is for Wanda, it's probably then like just so she can be in the upcoming Avengers movies and be a part of the soft reboot. Which like obviously if they want her there for that, then they have to figure it out somehow. So I don't know. I think you could be right though about somehow towards the end of the show, it basically alluding or directly saying and showing us that she is resurrected, if that's still what they're going with, which I'm not opposed to. I think if this is the show that we need in order to make that happen and get more Scarlet Witch, so be it, I guess. I mean...
They might not have Scarlet Witch back.
No, I'm totally fine with it, but it's just interesting to think like, was this their plan all along? Like, what did they know? We're going to kill her off. And then...
You just said it was Agatha all along.
All along, man.
Bro, Kevin Feige all along, he knew they killed her off. Like, was this their plan? Was their plan to kill her off in Multiverse of Madness and then for this show to bring her back? Because, I don't know, it just feels like it's interesting since it's been a couple years since Doctor Strange. I feel like it would have been more of a storyline that we've been following. It feels like a long time since that has happened. So, I don't know, maybe that's a nitpicky thing or whatever, but... it would just be interesting if this is like the continuation of her story, but we'll see.
I will say, to combat my point, even it is a strange thing to continue Agatha's character specifically through the MCU, like giving her own show. If I'm right, just to bring back Wanda, Granted, at the end, like it might not matter. Like Agatha can go off and disappear, like the girl from the end of Secret Invasion has. We'll just never see her again. But it seems weird for that specific character, like, and especially also with the comment you just made about it being like 2 years since Multiverse of Madness, right? And killing her just to bring her back like 2 years later, and with no clear idea in mind, at least to us, as to where she's going to be implemented in the future. Yeah, it's there definitely some holes. But I also want to add, I mean, not that great of a movie, but like Ant-Man and the Wasp in between Infinity War and Endgame, you know? What clear purpose did that have other than the end credit scene, you know? Other than the end credit scene, yeah. I was gonna say, yeah.
I mean, traveling the quantum realm, arguably.
Yeah.
Like, all of that was.
Oh yeah, that really panned out, huh? That really panned out, didn't it?
It was necessary. I don't know.
No, okay, yeah, really panned out. You can't just 2 seconds. I mean, because no, they introduced that concept though, like in the first movie. Like she's gone in the quantum realm, right? They could have just in the third movie decided that we're going to try to bring her back, because I think that they find out. No, it is in the second movie. Never mind. I was going to say, I think that they find out at the end of the first one that she could still be trapped in the quantum realm, but never mind. Yeah. I can't deal with this chat. It's crazy. But you know, yeah, like Black Panther. Let's say, I guess, just you could say introducing another character to the fold before the next Avengers movie, but he was already in Civil War, you know? So what did he need to pop up for before Infinity War?
You can point to other things. Think about how crucial Wakanda was for Infinity War.
But we could have easily just written Infinity War to end up somewhere else. Like, why did it need to happen in Wakanda? You know?
It's not that it necessarily needed to. Like, you could tell the events of Secret Wars without Wanda's character being there, but her being there might change the dynamic. In the same way that, like, you can tell Infinity War, you can write it somewhere else, but it being in Wakanda made it what it was. So it's not about like necessity. They're not introducing things that have to be in the story for the story to be what it is, but like you can still point to the things that then became important. And so, like with Agatha, if they bring Wanda back, we'll point to this show and say, this is what brought Wanda back, and so that's why it was necessary for moving forward.
I feel like we flipped points.
Did we?
Now you're my side.
Well,
you're backing my side about how Wanda coming back in the show would make sense. And I'm saying,
I mean, I did agree with that, and but to your point about Ant-Man, I don't think we actually disagree here, but just interesting to talk about it. To your point with Ant-Man and the Wasp, even though, like, I would argue the quantum realm stuff and obviously the post-credit scene being important for the events of Infinity War and then the in-between and tying into Endgame, what I would say about that, which, you know, you could say about any of these projects, is even though I can point to those things, I'm not saying that those things, like, had to happen in those projects, and I'm not saying that those things made the projects good. You know, like Ant-Man and the Wasp is one of, you know, the worst MCU movies.
The second
one, yeah. I mean, okay.
No,
bottom
that's
10.
That's
I mean, it's not great. No, don't get. I'm not defending it, but Quantumania is worse. That's all I want to say.
Yeah, I'm just saying, like, bottom 10. Okay, I'm not. Okay. You know, it's not like worst of the worst, but it's down there. But it still had those elements of necessity. So this show, even bringing Wanda back, depending on how they go about it, it doesn't make the show any better, even if, like, oh, we get Wanda back. Like, there's a benefit to it existing, but it doesn't make the show good.
Okay, so your argument is for the quality of the show, per se.
Yeah, because I don't disagree with you on, like, it could make sense that they bring her back. And, you know, we haven't really disagreed on any of the points. It's more so like, if that's the purpose of this show, that is a good thing, but it doesn't make the show in and of itself good.
Sure. And I'm not trying to say that I think that's what's going to make the show good at the end of the day. Obviously, I think a good show needs to be a good show, because, like, I love Falcon and the Winter Soldier, but, you know, I can admit terrible bad guy, terrible everything, yada yada yada. But it set up Falcon, set up Sam to be Captain America, and that's why we're getting Captain America 4. So obviously, just setup doesn't equal good per se to the rest of the world. Falcon and Winter Soldier is a good show, though. But I also wanted to talk about.
Just wait.
What do you guys I can't remember if they, I don't think they did, but with the little I think it only happened twice in my memory, but she stops and stares at a crow right after meeting the first witch, and then right before meeting the third witch, she sees a rat in the mall and freaks out. Do we have any ideas as to what that's about?
I don't, Ben.
I kind of have a theory.
Mephisto.
It's probably stupid, and I don't know a lot about like the lore behind witchcraft or anything like that. But I feel like the idea of like witches or spirits possessing animals is like something in witchcraft that has to do with that. And so there's something about like this feeling of like the crow and the rat, of course, like in general, those are, viewed, they're looked down upon as creatures, in comparison to like a dog or a cat or something like that. And so seeing something like that, I don't know if there's like, for Agatha, if there's like an uneasy feeling that like, she's, like being watched or haunted by some sort of witch or spirit, like the coincidences are building up for things like that. So I don't know if it's just like an uneasy feeling that it's giving her, or if there's any more significance, but I just kind of equate it to that, like, especially because like, and I didn't specifically like note when it happened versus when other stuff happened, but is it Audrey Plaza or Aubrey?
Aubrey. It's Aubrey.
You sure?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So like with Aubrey Plaza's character, like I kind of thought like, what if in a way that's her quote unquote stalking Agatha through some witchcraft or whatever, which is like, the show hasn't explained that. They haven't said anything, but I put it up to some sort of like uneasy feeling that Agatha gets because of some witchcraft shenanigans that's happening with these creatures that seem to be like stalking her.
I buy that. I can get behind that.
I'd attest it to either that or like maybe the Salem 7 kind of jumping the gun on her. I don't know, but I do like that theory more, that it's Aubrey Plaza. Obviously, looking forward, actually, I'll ask this question and then that way we can get into our looking forward segment to round us off. Where do we go from here? And I'll start by answering my own question. I can already see with the and forgive me, my fiance just got home, so if the dogs go crazy, somebody else take over.
I don't forgive you.
All right, you're getting a sad horn. All right. All right.
Wow, Chad.
Anyways.
It's crazy saying it right before doing it.
You're getting a vine boom. So we see before after the witches find out that she's trying to take her power, they do this big, you were trying to get us down here, you never cared, like you just wanted to take our power. And Agatha's like, oh, whatever. Like we can already see that she is still being selfish, that she hasn't learned anything from what happened in WandaVision. And now she's trapped. Now she's stuck having to go down this road with them, where the road could be seen as a symbol for her journey to, better herself, find herself, because she is our main character of the show. I think going forward, we explore that, which I am interested in exploring that, depending on how they tackle it. The character of Agatha and her journey on maybe becoming a better person, maybe learning what it actually means to be a witch, befriending these witches and making her own coven with them. I think that's definitely a possibility. We don't have to get into the teen of it all and the like spoilers of it all. Just where do you think we go from here? What do you think we can expect to see in these next episodes?
Yeah, I think there's a couple of things that I hope that they do. Which I mean, you know, I'm gonna equate that to like what I'm guessing they do is also what I hope that they do, because that's the approach that I want them to take that I think would make sense for the show. So I would say with Agatha's character, I really would like to see them explore like each of the relationships, between and amongst the entire group to kind of dive more into like what set up the dynamic where, all of them basically seem to hate her. And maybe for the same reason, maybe for like slightly different reasons or different grudges that they hold and whatnot. So actually diving into that, I hope that like where we're going with the road that they're going along and the difficulties that come from that, I hope that that also highlights, relationships and whatnot, so we can get more depth and like growth and whatnot in that. I hope for Teen's character, man, I hope that they just like start actually giving him something interesting, like whether they reveal it or not. Since we already know, I hope that they start to do more things with his character, with him studying witchcraft, walking the road. How does that affect him, who's not a witch currently, as far as we know, but has studied some? At least that's the extent that we know according to the show. So like, how is his walk on the road different, and how does it vary from the other characters that we get to see and whatnot? And then also I think just with Aubrey Plaza's character, seeing how that ties back in. I don't know if that will be anytime soon. I don't think she was in the second episode at all. So yeah, how that ties into the future of the story as well. Those are like the 3-4 main things that I hope they do, that like, they're set up to do those things. I just really hope that they actually explore more depth and give more substance with each of it.
Yeah, for me, it's along the same lines. Like, I mean, I always talk about how I'm a very character-driven viewer. So I would love to find out more about why the witch who is bound, why she was bound, and a detailed look. I'm not a big flashback guy, so I wouldn't appreciate anything like that. But as long as I'm a big monologue guy, like Better Call Saul.
I knew it was coming.
No, yeah, no, you're fine. You're fine. My aide knows what I'm talking about. So like a nice, good monologue like that, showcasing like struggles between the characters and whatnot. And as Ben mentioned, like relationships growing or being tested and whatnot on the road. Obviously, I want to see more of that. But I think more than anything else, I know that I said in the build up to this show that I'm not into this kind of thing, like Halloween Town or Hocus Pocus kind of thing. And that still very much holds true. But for some reason, once they got into like the Witch's Road, the realm, and I saw the windy road down, I was like, "Oh, this is like." I got like Alice in Wonderland kind of, and I was like, "This could be cool, man. This could be cool." And so, I'm more than anything, I guess, I'm just more than anything. First of all, good character development, good character struggles, et cetera, et cetera. Then I'd love to see just how visually exciting the road could be, and I hope that they don't waste this concept, because they have before, and I don't want that to be the case with this. And it seems like it most often happens with the TV shows. Miss Marvel being one. The visual language of those first 2 episodes, bro, not being carried throughout the entire show. Terrible. Horrible. Still pissed off about that to this day. But you got another opportunity here. I'm interested in this, and I want to see it go further, and I'm sure it will. I also want to see how all these other witches use their powers. How they differentiate the powers between the witches, I should say. I hope that they're different. I don't want them to just all be a generic, I blast a yellow beam, I blast a green beam, that kind of thing. Because that seems like, I also kind of loved the little joke in episode 2 where she whispers to the other witch, like, hot tip, like, I can't absorb your power unless you shoot me with it. And so I thought that was, it was kind of meta, but it was funny enough. And so that is also something I'm interested in seeing, is just how their powers differentiate. Does that one older witch, is that like her exclusively her powers to read people? It looked like she was about to blast Wanda too, though. So I don't know. Yeah.
I will say another line that I think was pretty funny was Teen telling the one witch that was facing a lot of charges. He was like, yeah, he said something along the lines of, yeah, it's not so bad, but when they add up, it looks a little lifey. Oh, dude. Absolutely
I also
stole
like,
the show for me.
towards the end of the second episode, when they were all gathered and whatnot, and Agatha just got really annoyed, and she was just like, just blast me, bitches. I thought that was good too.
They really did play it a little fast and loose, especially with like the nudity and then the two
I
two
think this is the
bitches they
first,
dropped.
like, properly naked woman we've seen in the MCU, I think.
And that you've ever seen in your life, right?
That was quick thinking, Val. That was quick thinking.
I mean,
I'll give you that, man.
Kidding.
Isn't the
I
only
wish there was
other
a laughing sound.
isn't the only other like full naked buttocks like Thor Love and Thunder? Like at all?
And then also Thor Ragnarok with Hulk's butt. But yeah.
No,
That's all CG.
I
Count.
didn't count that, yeah.
Yeah.
CG
butt.
Ben, take us home.
That's going to do it for our coverage of the first 2 episodes of Agatha All Along. Like I mentioned before, the Penguin series is starting up this week as well. That's going to be, it released its first episode on a Thursday, and then it's like a week and a half before the next one, and then it's on Sundays, which I believe there's 8 episodes total for that show. So we're going to be coming at you twice a week covering 2 different series, vastly different series. We have a more lighthearted, more entertaining and fun series from Marvel Television on Disney Plus, and then what seems like a bit of a darker, I think it's TVMA series in the Matt Reeves Batman universe with the Penguin. So we're here for it every single week, as well as some other releases coming up. We're going to talk about Joker 2. We're going to talk about Venom 3. I don't know what else we're going to cover within the coming weeks as these shows are coming out. But these come out for a while. I think it goes to like into November basically with these shows, since they're a bit longer. So make sure to check back in for that every single week as we continue these discussions. Like I already mentioned, if you're on YouTube, hit that like button. Subscribe if you're new here. Mimish, make sure to comment apples if you made it this far, just so you can prove it. And then if you're on Spotify or any other listening platforms, make sure to give us a 5-star rating. I think that's all we have for today. So with that being said, thank you all for listening. Sayonara.
Adios.
Peace.